Today you guys are going to talk about and really think about tone and mood. And when I say tone and mood, we're going to talk about those implicit and explicit details that help create tone and mood. So the first thing I want to ask you is, what do you see? When you look at this picture, what do you see? If I were to answer this question, I would say that I see a man that is sitting at a table and he looks sad. He's kind of melting into the table. There's a lot of really dark colors. His eyes, he doesn't look very happy at all. So I would say, if I saw this picture, that the man is sad. Maybe he's lonely. Maybe he's tired. Maybe he's hungry. And I would say those things because when we think about tone, those are those implied or those implicit details that we gain when we look at things or we read things. And we gain that by thinking about those explicit details that are provided, the evidence. Okay? So I would say that the evidence that supports my thinking is the dark colors, how he melts into the table, the look in his eyes. All of those explicit details support the implicit detail of tone, that he looks really sad or lonely. Okay? So the tone of that piece of art is sadness, and you had to infer that from the evidence that was provided in the painting. Okay? So I want you to kind of do the same thing. I want you to watch this video game trailer, and I want you to think about the tone that is implied, that implicit detail that is given to you through those explicit details. Okay, so the tone of that Limbo video game trailer, it was pretty scary. It was dark and creepy if you thought about it. And I know this because the colors, it was only in black and white, and it was mostly black and dark. It also had that really ominous music, and there were giant spiders lurking in the background, especially right at the very end. So all of that explicit details makes the kind of tone and mood of that like creepy, sad, dark, and ominous. Okay? So you guys are going to do this with your own literature. You are going to take your photocopied page that I made you last week. You are going to identify the tone of the piece. That is that implied, implicit detail. So you need to look for the explicit details on the page that help create that tone. You are going to circle these words, and then you are going to use art to edit out all the rest of the other words on the page with a picture that matches that tone and mood that is created through those words. You want to create an atmosphere, that mood in the image that matches the words on the page. Your thesis statement is going to be your picture. That is how you are going to show me the tone and mood, by those words and then the image. So let's take a look at some examples, okay? So here's a really, really good example, okay? This person was creative. They used color, and they really paid attention to that word choice within their page. So they only showed color of blood. Storm was approaching, grayness, clouds torn by lightning, malevolence, rotten stench, desperately, and disaster. And their image is dark and scary, and it's creepy, and it matches. So that's a great example. Here's a couple more. You can see how the image takes over the page except for the words that are brought out. And I really like the one that is on the left because it talks about all the dreams, okay, up above that are bright and cheery, and the person in the bed. And it shows kind of the difference, that it enveloped him in the calm presence. Even his muscles seemed to ache less, a sleepy sense of well-being, a cool spot under the tree. So it's showing you the calmness that the dreams bring, okay? But on the other side, we see this person crying, asking for help with fire in the background. And we see all of these tear-filled eyes, okay? We see the abandon and meanness and desperate, and we see these mistake and sob, and it fits the page, and we can really feel what those explicit details are showing us. Let's take a look at a few more examples before you guys get started, okay? Here's a couple more. Now notice the page on the left is the same one that I showed you on the previous slide. This person chose to do it in a different way, and that's perfectly fine. It still gives you that sense of calmness. Whereas the page on the right is one of the first ones where we saw the fire, but this time we see the jagged mountains with the storm, but it still fits that tone, and we've got that explicit detail in those words. Here's a couple more, okay? They did a great job. Notice the page is completely covered in the artwork. The only place that isn't colored in or covered are the words, okay? Now, you'll also notice here that it's only one page. I photocopied 2 pages, so you would have something to choose from. Here's some more examples. Okay, so this is what you're doing today. This is what you're working on.